Settlement Structure Plan Review. So, Miss Gilbert?
And I'm going to start this one.
Oh, you are? Okay. So I've got to change books.
That's all right. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome, Ms. McLeod.
So this item actually goes really back to the recent the changes that we've been making within the organisation, where we've been looking very carefully at the work that we do and asking the question of whether or not it's the right work at the right time, at the right size. And basically with the Turangi Southern Lakeshore Settlement Structure Plan, there was a lot of work that we were anticipating doing down the southern end of the lake. So what we did was ask Ian McKelly, who's an independent consultant, to come in and do a bit of a stock take for us in terms of that work and determine whether or not we were going in the right direction, whether we'd got the scale right, or whether or not we needed to kind of pull back. Through Ian's work, basically he came back to us saying, you are still going to need to continue to do structure planning down that way, but probably not at the size and scale that you may have been originally anticipating. And the second thing is that there are essentially two pieces of work here, not one, and that you'd be better off actually splitting off the work that is currently being done in relation to largely around Turangi town itself, because that had much more of a economic urban development kind of feel to it, rather than being a structure planning issue. And so what he has suggested is that we look at changing the inception report that you signed off on some time ago, and look at splitting the work into two and progressing the work that focused in very much on Turangi town, and using basically a community steering group to do that work, and carry on with your structure planning work, but albeit at a slightly slower pace than perhaps you had been previously doing, and looking toward taking the structure planning work up to the point of plan change, but not necessarily going through the plan change at this stage, but perhaps putting that onto the back burner until a more appropriate time. So that's basically what the report's about. We've workshopped it with in Turangi community with both the community board and also a range of community representatives, and you'll see that from the minutes of the Turangi community board meeting that they certainly did endorse the approach that has been taken by council, which is the recommendation that you've still got there to have a look at.
Okay, so what you're saying in a nutshell is finish the structure plan work up to the stage where it can go in for a plan change, but not go in for the plan change. Plan change is an unnecessary expense at the moment when there's no pressure to actually do it. Is that what you're saying? But it's there if somebody wanted to pick it up, they could go and do the plan change. They could do a private plan change.
Yes, they could. Yep.
Okay, so obviously Councillor Henderson and Councillor Kepper speak on behalf of the Turangi community, basically, although we all do. But are you comfortable with that?
I'm certainly comfortable with it, splitting it into two sections as such. One that allows for future growth, but we don't have to expend monies for that growth at this stage, because the signals are that growth isn't there like we thought and planned for. Namely something, one of those projects was the Mangata Whiri block, but also it allows us to get on with the other smaller projects within the town centre and so on that will assist the beautification of the town and so on. There was only one thing in this other document that I didn't see in here, was the river trails, which this council gave a grant to 50,000. But I can tell you they're on track. They're still working through the issues with land ownership and prisons. I had a meeting with the chairperson the other day. He is hopeful that council will pick up and build the part of the track from the hatchery back into town as such. was the old designated Highway 1. And, Mr. Redwood probably know something about that. And that's a project for the immediate future. We can achieve that fairly soon. That will make that whole trail area a lot more user-friendly.
And this has given landowners down there a clear steer on where you want your growth to be, where we will allow growth to happen once the plan changes happen.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Oh yeah, just in one way, just to say that in one way this is a reflection of the economic environment and the lack of development and the need to actually pursue a full structure plan. But on the other hand too, I'd like to think what's being proposed here is as much about delivering community wellbeing, which as a council is what we're charged to do. The consultation that was done down there for the structure plan delivered a lot of really good quality information, which has been recognised by council staff, and a lot of agreement on what some of the issues and problems were that needed to be addressed. As the report states, a lot of that's to do with urban revitalisation, economic development, which tend to overlap. And the only other thing I'd add is that I think the analysis and the work done on to get this to this stage has been very good and very succinct and accurate and all that. So that's all I had to add.
Okay. As long as we've done our right bit by the Turangi district community, etc.
Can I just ask why Takanu and Pukawa is not included in this?
Well, they are included in the structure, I believe, in the original structure plan
mention of
inception.
them, but does it come under Turangi?
I think that in terms of the original structure plan, that's probably got more to do with the fact that I don't believe there was any greenfields development to be done there.
Isn't there, isn't it?
Certainly Pukawa is in there, but I think Tukano is more on the wider Turangi area.
Oh, so it comes under
Project
one?
for the
Pukawa.
Okay, nothing further? If there's nothing further, there is a resolution there which is A, B and C, and they run concurrently. So do the Turangi, of course, Councillor Kepper as a mover, and we need a seconder, Councillor Henderson. All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried. So the structure plan is completed right up to plan change stage, which can be initiated any time by council if it deems it necessary, or by a private landowner if they want to charge ahead with something.
And also you are effectively adopting the recommendation from the Turangi Community Board as well.
Okay, moving now to agenda item number 17, which we had workshopped in the past, which is the local government funding agency proposal. I see you there, Neil. Would you like to comment on it or take it as read? And Mr. Van Hennet's here as well. As I understand it, Mr. Van Hennet, you recommended to this council with your expertise that we join this program at an earlier date. And Neil, do you wish to add anything further? Or Mr. Ward, sorry, Neil?
Yeah, just very briefly, but item taken as read, but perhaps just a quick update. 49 councils have indicated that they will join to date. Bill English gave a speech recently saying that it will be up and running by November, which is the target time frame. And actually that's just a fourth one. The intention is to have it fully established in November 2011. So it's really just an update on where we're at the moment.
Okay, so just as a question for me, can we go in and out of this as we deem it to be prudent and financially fiscal?
It's another tool in the toolbox, is what it is. So it's another.
So we join it with membership, but we don't necessarily use it
Unless
it's favourable at the time.
That's right.
So if they come up with a percentage rate lower than what we're paying at the time, we can go with that for argument's sake.
Yes.
Have I got it right?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? I like the way you put another tool in the toolbox. Mr. Councillor Mincher?
Neil, is there any limit to the funds that we can access through this? Where you designate for your funds application?
The in the wording in the item there, we're talking about up to 80% is that we would want to go. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. But in terms of, we're a smaller council in the big scheme of things, so there will be enough money in the pot for us to borrow from them.
49 councils, did you say?
Yes, 49 councils
70. What have we got now, Dave? No,
indicated
we're
that
reduced
they
to
will-
about 67 now, aren't we? We've got about 67 councils now with the Auckland Super City, haven't we?
I must admit, I'm not quite sure the exact number now, but
Well,
that sounds about
73
right.
or something, but it's less now. Councillor Williams?
Yes, it has been workshopped, and thank you, Neil, for all the work you've put in. And obviously, it is a great opportunity for local authorities to have the opportunity of jumping on the back of government funding, procuring funding offshore, so that we can get hopefully a cheaper cost of funding through by way of entering this scheme. But as I see it, the key thing is that we're authorising our Chief Executive Officer to really cross the T's and dot the I's on the final proposal, because at this stage there's a lot of unanswered parameters around this funding. So we're in effect committing the 100,000 with on the provision that our Chief Executive Officer confirms all those definitions that will be advantageous and acceptable to our
That is correct, and Mr. Menahedin and myself certainly wouldn't be recommending to the Chief Executive until we're happy with the wording on there as well. And point H, or clause H on there, is the reporting back clause to the council.
Councillor Henderson?
Yeah, just to reiterate what Councillor Williams was saying, I think the key thing with this, and I understand that the decision we're making at the moment doesn't commit us to this, without being able to change that position, but the statement of proposal on this is where a lot of the detail is, and I just recommend that everyone has a really good close look at it. There are a number of things that are yet to be decided, and I understand that that's partly at least because it's a sort of an iterative process and no law's been passed yet in regards to enacting this, but I think, as Nicola said, a lot of T's to be crossed and a lot of I's to be dotted in terms of the commitment, expectations and potential liabilities involved.
Right. Anything further? Councillor Downer? No?
Of intention to move.
Okay, well, I hope read
C,
what
D,
you're
E,
moving,
F, G,
because it's a big resolution. It
I
goes
can read it
from
out.
A through to H, which is a third of the alphabet. Councillor Williams?
Necessarily legal,
You're
unfortunately.
happy to second it? All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. And as you put it well eloquently, Neil, it's another tool in the toolbox to be used prudently and when needed. Item number 18 is draft LTP 2012 rates, remission and postponement policies. I'm not sure, Ms McLeod, but I think maybe there's a small mistake in the suggested resolution here, and it's in the suggested resolution labelled 2, that if as a result of community feedback from the options debate if there are any changes, it should be, shouldn't it? The word if installed, perhaps?
If a result.
The word if should probably be added, eh?
No, the if is the second letter. That if.
So that's my if.
It's just in a different place.
Okay, cool. Righto, well, I'll open this up to Mr. Ward again, which is rates, remission, postponement policies, which is an existing policy in council, but there could be some changes necessary to be made because of the debate we've gone out with at the moment when the options debate. Do you want to extrapolate on anything here?
Just very quickly, these are two of the policies in the LTP. We're just trying to knock them off as we go through the process, as it were. A couple of minor changes there, as you would see, in track changes to the wording, and then we've just put the little rider in there in clause 2 of the resolution that should there be anything from the options debate, that gives us the ability to change it without needing to come back in front of you again.
Anybody want to comment on this or question it? It's very mechanical. It's very process driven. It's something we have to do, and it doesn't really mean a lot, and there could be some changes after the options debate. So that's about it in a nutshell.
The policies are meaningful, I might add. But
Okay, suggested resolution on page 18 bar 1, 1 and 2 combined. Is there a mover? There is, and Councillor Kirk, and as a seconder, and Councillor Truman. All those in favour?